Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Insequeer, the podcast with your host, Chloe. Oh, wow. So if you're here and this is your first time, I think it's a good idea to go back, a little bit back, and listen to some of those episodes. But if you've been here with me, um, hey, I know I left you all with a pretty heavy podcast entitled Home is Where the Hurt Is. And I believe that this podcast will be, spoiler alert, Home is Where the Hurt Is Part 2, because as I alluded in that previous podcast, I was going to have to go home to Cleveland for what I thought was my funeral for my little cousin. But that funeral kind of happened before I could get home, but I had already had a scheduled trip for the 4th of July. So I kind of want to talk about what my experience was going home to Cleveland, Ohio. Something really big, a few things, honestly, pretty big things happened or realizations occurred for me on that trip. So just bear with me because I didn't write this down and I'm actually just recording this on a whim because I've been very busy at work since coming home from Cleveland. So I told myself this dumb thing of I was going to take a break from Instagram until I recorded 2 episodes. So this is really me just trying to satisfy that so I'm not a liar to myself. Don't we do that? Like we make these things like New Year's resolutions and all these promises to self, and we find all these ways to kind of skirt around them. But what I've learned is that every time you do that, you lie to yourself, and you kind of open up your life to let others do that to you. And I think that's another one of those examples of boundary breaking. So if I say I'm not going to have a cookie tonight, when I have five, I broke my own boundary. I disrespected myself, and the energy you put out you get back. So think about that the next time you make a promise to yourself or a declaration or set a boundary for yourself. If you break that boundary, that was a lot. If you break that boundary, begin to think about all the other boundaries that you let break. So maybe if you're a little bit more stern with yourself, you'll be stern with others, and then you will work on your mental health. But that's not what this podcast is about, although boundaries is a very, very pertinent component. So maybe that is what this podcast is about today. So, super long story short, I and a friend who I've had for 15 years decided a few weeks before my cousin passed away that we were going to spend time with each other because we just had had enough of COVID and not having travel and things like that. And like I was already preemptively planning to come for the 4th of July anyway. Um, and she wanted to get out of Cleveland as well. So she decided to drive to New York for a few days, hang out here, and then we would road trip back. And that's exactly what happened. But in that experience, we lost each other. So this part, I just got to say it. I'm One of the things that I'm extremely insecure about is my relationships with others and my ability to build, foster, maintain adult friendships. I feel very lonely without a community that is close. And I say that to say that I have amazing people in my life who I have met via social media, who I have gone to college with, who I just know. But a part of my love language is quality time. So it's really hard to remember those, lean on those when you kind of just want someone that you can go on a social distance date with, so to speak. So I want to preface this with saying that because some of you all are those friends, like you're in my life, but you live where you live, and we can have 17 Zoom dates, but it doesn't fill my tank quite as well as it would with an in-person interaction. So my friend and I, we were speaking about that, and we came up with this plan. And when my friend got here, it became alarmingly obvious that we are friends who are now completely different people expecting each other to be the same person. And our lives are going in and appearing to be in very different places. And I won't say this is something that I have been thinking about or ruminating on for some time, but I do recall instances where we would hang out after not seeing each other for a year or months because we live in different states. There would be something that would occur that no longer sat well with who I was currently, but it made full sense for who I was when we were in college together. Um, and a huge part of that, I ignored those, I'm going to have to call them flags. I ignored those instances, flags, because I was holding on to this friendship that I've had for so long. Like, I have a lot of friendships, but like to be able to say I've had this friend for, let's say, 20 years. I've had a 20-year friendship with this person. So if we've been friends for 20 years and we've never had a falling out, there's never been any big discourse, just outweighing just because I'm no longer the person who I was when we met. And as well, she's not, she's not the same person uh, either. And I don't know if I've given myself the time to fully introduce her into who I am. And I also haven't, along with that, I haven't introduced her into the things that I no longer accept. And when you don't see each other for so long, it's easy to get caught up in the romanticism of your friendship or the stories or the remember wins. But now, and excuse me if I sound labored, it's been a day, and I think I'm getting sick, and I think it's COVID. Like, I say that lightly, but like I know you all can agree with me. You're at that place where a tickle, excuse me, like that right there. Like, I choose not to Google COVID symptoms, but I think that might be one of them. So excuse me, I'm starting to feel a little labored. I've been working pretty hard, so, and I've had a beer, so just I just wanted to let you guys know, if you hear the urgency or whatever that is, it's because I'm stressed and a black woman in America and I'm gay. Okay. So going back, it's so easy to reminisce on what was, or the remember wins, or all that, which I said, but like what I began to notice is that that's all we had. All we had was what we had. In our current conversations, in our current engagement, in our current time, we don't share a lot of things in common. We don't think the same way. We don't maneuver the same way. While we still have things that we enjoy, like humor and memes and our love for holistic endeavors, at the core, I think we're different. And a lot of that, honestly, for me, it became clear once I had weight loss surgery, and the ways in which I did life became different. Um, and a part of our friendship was also really based on that Chloe, the 400-pound Chloe, the Chloe who was down for hella drinks and going out to eat, and you know indulging in ways that Chloe, who's had weight loss surgery, can no longer do. Uh, and this trip made all of that alarming. It, in real time, just broke me, because it just brought me to that moment when Issa and Molly were standing outside before Issa got in the Uber and shed her glory tear. When Molly said, who we are now might just not be the vibe, uh, remixing that. And it's hard because it plays directly on my insecurity of feeling like I don't have any friends. Like, I can't maintain friendships at a quality time in real time. And I'm saying this pre-COVID. Like, I've been thirsting and longing and needing friends for about, since moving to New York. To be fully transparent, I don't feel like I've had any real solid friendships outside of one, which gets messy, which will be an episode in itself. But and that bothers me, because 400-pound Chloe, or let's drink the bar Chloe, or let me cook food for you Chloe, or let's just do reckless things because we don't have self-esteem and love ourselves Chloe, had hella friends. I had hella friends. You couldn't, like, I had so many friends that I could pick and choose. I had the ability to say, ugh, I'm tired of you. I remove you. You can go there. Or, why do all these people want to be around me? Like, I was that pompous of an ass when it came to friends in my previous life or my 20s or whatever the fuck, excuse me. Like, I had friends. And I'm going to tie all that back in right now. And I'm going to say what I already know to be true, but it still fucking sucks. The reason why Chloe back then had friends is because Chloe back then didn't have boundaries and expectations. The same way that I could cherry pick those hundreds and hundreds of friends, they cherry picked me. When they wanted free drinks, I was that bitch because I was down for the fuck around. When they needed some place to stay because I lived in a cool city, it was me. When I did not demand much from the friendships. Like, I didn't demand that they knew my birthday. I didn't demand that they respect me when I say no. I didn't demand anything. Everything was a go because they were my friends. But now that Chloe, who I am today on this podcast, is really, really, really leaning into boundaries and respecting herself and respecting others and trying to show up, my friends drop like flies. When I tell you, it's like ticks on a dog who has been treated. Like, they bite, and when they get a taste, they fall, they fall. And a lot of them fall like the same. Like, when I tell you 2-3 years ago, people was my bestie fucking best, and today won't respond to a text, all because I found my boundaries and I found my expectations and I found my worth. But it still fucking sucks. And it just sucks. Like, have I don't understand why, and I keep trying to rationalize. I keep trying to say, well, maybe you don't have friends because of karma of how shitty you were with them, or maybe these aren't your people, or maybe, then you hear all the shit about people are in your life for a season, and you play through all the things, and then I walk through this city, and I see hella people with friends. I see hella people on the Ross, Rachel, Joey, Monica, Chandler, Phoebe. I see the fucking Noah, Wade, Chance. Like, I see Khadijah's and Regines and Maxines and St. Clair's and Kyle's and Overtons, and I'm like, bitch, I am the coolest kid you will ever meet. Where are my people? Where are my people? And so I deal with that every day, and then I get with somebody who's been my person, only to realize that they've probably been my person because they had latched into my life and I latched into theirs when I didn't have boundaries, when I didn't have conditions. And now that I do, so that's just one part of my trip home to Cleveland. Realizing that somebody who's been my best friend since friends existed might not be anymore. Home is where the hurt is. Cleveland, Ohio made that happen. And I'm going to talk about boundaries again when it comes to Cleveland here pretty soon. And the next part of home being where the hurt is I made it a priority to prioritize my mother, because along with that same friendship, I would spend, when I would come home to Cleveland, I would spend majority of my time with that friend group or that friend that I just mentioned, and neglect my mom. When one of my biggest regrets in life is running up behind some girl who never could marry me, be with me, while my grandmother battled or fought stage 4 lung cancer, to which she lost her battle. One of my biggest regrets is not prioritizing my grandmother, who always loved me, would always love me, for someone who conditionally, situationally, for a period of time, loved me. So my mom is what I prioritize this time, because in my gut, in my spirit, in my truth, and in what I saw, I know I don't have a lot of time left with my mother. And I'm sure that's 75 episodes to go. But what I will say is my mother is all I got. Good, bad, ugly, infuriating, piss me off, don't deserve me, disrespect me, broke me the most. Mother, she's my mother. And while a huge part of me coming home to Cleveland being traumatic is that every time I come home, I realize how much of a home I don't have because I can't go to her house and feel comfortable and sleep there, or like there's no place for me to lay my head and know that it's mine, which was what my grandmother provided for me up until the day she died. Like, I loved Cleveland before May 16th, 2012. I loved Cleveland. But that's because when she died, I mean, grandma's hands closed. So a huge part of me not wanting to come home is not wanting to see that reality so up close and personal. But this time, I mean, COVID has shown us that nobody is promised anything. I've lost people that I never thought I would lose in this period of COVID, and it wasn't even due to COVID. So my mortality is something that I think about every second of every day, about when my time is. Have I done enough? Will people remember me? Was my life worth anything? So I deal with that every day because that is what my breakdown looks like in quarantine and in COVID. Um, but my mom is sick. She's a diabetic. I'm sure she has cancer. She's an alcoholic. Like, she smokes. So like, if there was one more if there was one more thing I could give her to, I mean, high blood pressure. Like, she is the epitome of big mama, your arm. Um, so that, and then I think about COVID and how someone like her doesn't really cognitively grasp the severity of it. So like, she's probably not wearing her mask. She still hangs out with her posse of people who look like they don't know what masks are. So I've just been on edge, like on top of her health stuff pre-COVID and then COVID, and then her inability to truly take care of herself. So, some things happened to the point where like I wasn't really able to hang out with my friend, and so I ended up leaning into my mom. Like, I literally only came to Cleveland to buy her a new phone that I could teach her how to WhatsApp or FaceTime so I could see her face, because I live in New York City and any day now they can shut this shit down and I may never see her again. So I prioritized the little bit I had 2 weeks of off time, and I took them, and there was a plan in place for me to be in Cleveland for a week and somewhere else for a week. But I ended up in Cleveland for about 8 days, and here we are. So, the minute I visited her, like, I literally was in Cleveland for 2.5 days before I even embarked on spending time with her, because I know once I'm with her, I'm consumed by her. And I wanted to show my girlfriend who came with me, I wanted to show her things. And, we had a situation with our dogs and where we stayed. And like, so there was stuff before I could get into my mom's stuff. Which this entire trip was a boundary that I broke for myself. And when I tell you I'm paying for it royally, respect your boundaries. Respect your boundaries. So, the minute I walk into her home, I'm just without air. Without putting my mom on blast, like, everything that I knew to be her and how she kept her home and how she kept her life and the things she allowed with her boundaries of like who she was when she was in a better place were the exact opposite. They were the exact opposite. And she's just not well. I don't need to get into that too much more, but what I will say is the last time I laid eyes on her, I really felt like it could be the last time. And while I needed to see her, while I needed to set her up with the phone, while I needed to get a sense of what a timeline could even be, that trip traumatized me. That trip brought back so many things from my childhood, from my adulthood, that I did not have the capacity to entertain while still just dealing with the trauma and the fuck shit of COVID. Like COVID has ravished my brain, my thoughts, my sleeping, I mean, I'm talking to y'all. I'm sure you all, I don't think a lot of you all are just like, oh, business as usual. Um so COVID has like knocked me out, and my job has knocked me out, and this vacation time that I took, I literally walked into, like, if COVID, my job, my lack of friends, me realizing I'm about to lose a friend was Mortal Kombat, right? That's Mortal Kombat. It is pop pop popping my ass, pop pop popping it. So coming home and being with my mom would be like that finish him uppercut flawless victory because it killed me. It fucking killed me. I died in Cleveland. I died, bro. Like, a, I don't know if it was a piece, a fragment, but it feels like all of me just died because I'm finally in a place where I fucking like my mom. Like, I think she's unwell. I think she's crazy. I think she's disrespectful. I think she has a terrible sense of what her role should be in a person's life. I think all these things about her, but I like her, right? Like, I like her. Like, I went from hating her, not acknowledging her, to despising her, to loving her, to like, I like my mom. I fucking like her. Like, all the shit I used to think she was crazy about, like, now that shit makes perfect sense to me now. The words she spit, like, that bitch is a lyrical arsonist. Like, my mom should be a fucking famous author because she is a genius. And if I can say that in the thick of her alcoholism, incoherent as my mom is a fucking genius. She's cool. She knows music. She knows cars. She like is she's your nigga. Like, she's the best friend that I'm looking for. But she didn't love herself enough. She didn't respect herself enough. She didn't have a single boundary in her life because they were taken from her before she could even acknowledge her name. I don't get to hang out with my cool mom. And I got to continue to realize, as much as I like my fucking mom, I love me, and I got to set boundaries with her. So even though our time is limited, I got to still control the narrative of it because she consumes my breath. She takes it away. She sucks the energy right out of me with every phone call. But that's my fucking mom, bro. And I'm insecure in my love for her because I don't even know what love is. Thanks, mom. Like, I'm sure that's a generational what the fuck. But um when I left Cleveland, I said I am only coming back for her funeral, and after that they can light a match. You hear me? They can burn it down. So I mean, Cleveland has great food, cheap drinks, great outfit choices for a lot of people. Uh, a good time. Cleveland. If you don't, Cleveland is great. Okay, like, it is like a trap video. Like, Cleveland is the trap. Like, Cleveland is harder than Buckhead. Like, it's harder than that. Cleveland is out of control with the fuck shit. And if you down for some bad bodies, bad weaves, bad wigs, bad bitches, bad teeth, just bad, like, in the best way, Cleveland rocks. Cleveland, fuck you. Fuck Cleveland. Fuck it. So I might have lost my best friend. I'm losing my best mom, and I done lost my best fucking mind. But I do wonder, um, like, I referenced all these characters in all these TV shows, and I also want to say fuck them too, because maybe my expectation of friends and community is false. Maybe everybody doesn't get Khadijah, St. Clair, Maxine, and Max. Maybe it's time to realize that that is the American dream too, and it might not be for me. Especially if having a friend means not having respect for myself, then I will be just me, myself, and I. But I'm gonna really have to get on one of these dating apps and say just looking for friends, but mean it. I never thought I'd be friendless, but I painted myself as the world's greatest friend, and I want to dog walk my ass on that because while my boundaries and expectations and things like that are growing, now my ability to acknowledge when I was not respectful, considerate, consistent, loving in my friendships. And while I don't regret losing a lot of them, there's about I would say a good two and a possible that I wish I could have been the mature me who I am now when I was losing those friendships, when I was making my decisions. And while those people were not perfect, like it takes two to tango, like it take nigga, we in this bitch sambaing together out here doing it to me. Uh, uh, if any one of y'all can do that, fuck you, because that line dance is stupid. I can't get enough. Bitch, I had enough. Anyway, um, while I think I could have done more, they did what they did, and maybe it was still mutual, but I have been a shitty friend. I have been, excuse me, I have been piss poor. Uh, And I always leaned on well, that's just who I am. They have to love me. I'm so great in all these other ways. But I was the person who people were demanding more from. And because I didn't demand more, I couldn't understand how they could demand more. Um, and while I was still the same friend who would let you stay with me, give you the food, the clothes, the drinks, I didn't pick up the phone when you called. I didn't return your text. I didn't respond to your post on social media. I lied to you and said, yes, I'm going to be on my way. And then I never came. I avoided showing up for people because I just knew people couldn't show up for me. So I also am a shit friend. I was a shit friend because words mean things. In my past, I was a shitty friend. And maybe this time of being quarantined from friendships, that's the lesson that I'm learning. I fully accept it. So I don't want to paint the picture like everybody shat on me. No. A, I allowed a lot of it. And B, I also did some shit. And C, shit happens and maybe friendships were what they were. But I couldn't really leave without saying, I sucked as a friend at one point too. But now I'm better and I'm looking for you. And if you're looking for me and if Black Lives Matter and Beyonce is everything and my criteria is high, but it's not like outlandish. Like I just want you to want to do a drug or two from time to time. Aspirin, keeping my job, bitch. Uh, excuse me. I won't you be my neighbor? I'm looking for friends. I'm manifesting friends. I'm praying with my friends. I'm praying for them, making sure that they get to me safely. I am doing the work on how to even receive them because oftentimes we ask the universe or God or Betty Shabazz or whomever you believe in, we ask for things, but we don't ask to be prepared when said thing comes. So I'm being very intentional about working on what type of friend I will be. And if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'll be somewhere. If I say I'm going to respond, I'm going to respond. I hold myself because I believe in me and I deserve it. So I'm actively getting better. And even if I don't respond, I'm doing this thing that I never did, which was give an explanation. So I'm doing small things to bring that friend to me. And I'm praying that that friend is working through their shit so we can be the shit together. Um, and where in your home is the hurt? Is a question I pose to you guys. Where does it hurt? Like, what part of home hurts? Does home hurt? Um, and home can be a physical place. It can be a spiritual place. It can be a communal place. For me, I'm learning that home is friendships. So home is where the hurt is because my friendships are hurting, my family is hurting. So I know where I feel as though I know a few places where my hurt reside. But do you ever stop and think about where you're holding your hurt and how it's affecting your home? Hmm. How is hurt affecting your home? Uh, I don't want to ramble too much about this, but I have already gotten feedback, even though I didn't ask. But I appreciate someone who sees the vision and believes in me. So I was told that while my content is award winning, like the shit, um, I tend to leave us all with a heavy heart and don't like let you all decompress. Like it's a lot of emotion and then I run, which is actually indicative of how I live my actual life. But it was brought to my attention that sometimes I leave some heavy thoughts, places, and feelings, and then don't give us a time for us to just sit together and debrief. I don't know if debrief is the correct word because I don't know if you can debrief by yourself. So there's that. But I just wanted to not end it. While I do want to know the answer to your question about where hurt lives, um, I want to talk about what are ways we heal the hurt, right? Um, it's easy to point out the hurt. It's easy to own the hurt. It's easy to live in the hurt. But like, how do we heal the hurt? I don't ever hear many people talk about, and I healed that hurt, right? So I just want to kind of talk about some of the ways I'm working through and trying to heal my hurt. Believe it or not, a huge part of me healing the hurt is doing this project. Um, because I'm not going to pay for a Zoom therapist and waste my copay. I quit my therapist, and because I'm trying to love and respect and honor my body, I don't overindulge in my usual coping mechanisms of drinking and eating. Like, I make mistakes. Like I said, I'm drinking a beer now. Like, it's there, but like not to the level that it was when I was not loving and respecting myself. Um, I enjoy taking walks all over the city, like all over the city. Like on my Instagram, you'll see like now that I've lost over 175 pounds, I have mobility like never before. So like I walk and I walk. Me and my partner walk and talk, and in those conversations, we heal hurt. We hear each other. Our hurts harmonize. We heal in every walk, like to Soho, to Chelsea, to NoHo, to like we literally Christmas Eve, probably Christmas Day. Christmas Day, my partner and I walked from our East Village home in like near NYU's campus. We walked from like St. Mark's all the way up to the tree on 52nd. Like, and it was brick. It was cold, and we just walked and we talked and we healed so much in each other, and she healed so much in me around my homesickness and my hurt for how holidays used to happen. Those are a lot of H's, and I'm out here slaying. Excuse me, but I got to really express what it felt like to not have the Christmases or not know how to recreate them or not even remember the very last one I had with my grandmother. Like, and how every year I still try to just find it in the way I decorate or the things I do, and it's just not there. And we talked about making Christmas look different, and we're at a place where we can create the Christmas I remember. So we walk, and it heals me in terms of keeping me moving with having weight loss surgery, even though I have three herniated discs and a bad hip and knee that from carrying all the excess weight. Like, I found a lot of injuries in my body, but we walk. That heals me. Um, Another thing that I hadn't had the ability to do for a long time was take baths, and now I am a bath curating ass bitch. Like, I am a better homes and baths. Like, I will give you the most romantic experience, the most cleansing, calming, Calgon take me away ass experience. So like I take baths and I do Epsom salts and essential oils and candles and incense and music and bitch one time it was like 8 times did hookah. My bath is it heals me. Um I heal I've been healing myself by being real honest about what I like, what I don't like, what hurts, what I will tolerate. Like that's been healing to me because it's soothing the hurt me who got hurt every time I didn't know that I could say no or say I don't or say anything. So I feel healed every time I exercise my ability to advocate, to protect, to respect myself in the ways in which I show up and what I say and what I do and what I'll accept. That shit heals the fuck out of me. Like I be healing, okay? Um I think that's a lot. Like I there's so much more. Um you see that y'all hear me? I'm congested. Please Lord, don't let this be my last project. Oh Jesus. Okay. My humor heals me because I be through all of the things, through all of the hurts, through all the realizations. When I tell you I laugh, I chuckle. I my partner and I, me and my friend, like when we spoke, like whomever I can spend enough time with, a laugh has to be present. So laughing has always healed me. It always healed me, which is why I want to heal others through laughter, comedy, because bitch, it's been a joke, okay? Um, yeah, like those are things that heal me. So I hope while we figure out where the hurt is in our home, we equally try to come up with some of the more self respecting, self loving, self nourishing, nurturing ways to heal that hurt. Like put it on the map and then bury it, right? Like we find a way to let it rest in peace because you're worth it. It's worth it. We have so much more going on that we barely know how to carry. Once we start letting go of some of that stuff down below, we'll have more room, right? Like sometimes you got to purge and trying to find out where the hurt is in your home and then trying to think about the best way you can heal it. That is the ultimate purge. Um, I don't know how long this has been, and I don't even know when I'm gonna post it. But just know I appreciate you all. Like I've made it to 50 downloads already. I'm streaming on several platforms. I haven't posted on social media, but at this point, like the first post I will post will be when I make it to about 10 official episodes, and that's another boundary I set for myself because I'm so thirsty to get the project out there, but I've only shared it with a few people. And like I don't mind if they share, like it's all active, it's all live, but I haven't been pushing it because I said I want to be able to give you all a decent body of work without feeling the anxiety of having to meet a timeline. Like having to do it every Sunday is cumbersome and I'm exhausted and I don't have that kind of energy. So I'm doing more of a season. So 10 episodes a season. So like once I hit episode 10, I'll start to pub episodes 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you'll see it because you're gonna follow it and you're gonna like it and you're gonna subscribe and you're gonna tell your friends and you're gonna get me to as many downloads as downloads get. Um, but yeah, so this has been therapeutic. This has healed me. This is I feel so much lighter now than I did when I sat down because I was in a bad place and I said, let me come do this project. And I thought this would actually come out a lot more angrier than it actually did. So I feel good about it. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. Even if it's just one of y'all, thank you for listening. Thank you for telling people. Thank you if you found me organically. Thank you if you know me. Thank you if you're going to get to know me. And thank you even if you don't want to know me. That's fine too. You know, there's plenty of people who don't like me, but my mama loves me and I love myself. I think I butchered that. I think Beyonce said something that's like it's like 10 times the people who like me. Anyway, I woke up this morning with a happy face and thank you. And once again, arrest Breonna Taylor's killers. Fuck you if you shot Meg the Stallion in that foot. And guess what? Black lives matter, black trans lives matter, black women matter, black men matter, black children matter, black socks matter. Bitch, BLACK matters, black, bliggity, black. Bitch, this shit matter. And mattering is the minimum, which matters is the minimum is not something I can take or own or claim. That is something that is a black owned business I'm going to shout out right here. I believe it's Textured and Curls. I wasn't prepared to do that, but once I said it, I wanted to give credit. I'm going to break my no Instagram for 2 seconds. Um, yes. So this company, two queer women, a couple, have a t-shirt line and hair care products. They're like, one of the partners is like a guru for all things textured hair, curly, kinky. And they just recently dropped a graphic t-shirt line. It's textured tees. I'm gonna just spell it TXTURATEETEES. Textura tees. You know, maybe I should ask them, but they have a shirt that says matter is the minimum, and that implies that mattering is the minimum that black is and what it deserves, and what, you know, mattering is the minimum. Like, we deserve so much more than to just matter, and I stand behind that. They have shirts that says hair type hydrated, puff and fluff, and you can guess there. They got these divine feminine dad caps that I fuck with. I bought one. Hopefully now that I shouted them out, they'll give me two. Especially once I figure out how to pronounce the name, because I've had drinks and mattering is the minimum. So yes, you can follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that's TXTURATEES, because texture is a lifestyle. Look at me with my first impromptu ad out here. Let me get the fuck out of here because it's hot. I'm actually hiding in the basement right now, so I hope you guys are staying safe, staying well, staying hydrated, staying helped. Because I was going to say hopeful and I feel a way about that. Staying true, staying real, and staying respectful to yourselves, because you are only one you. And after you, we don't know what happens, boo. So please, please, please pour into yourselves like you try to pour into so many others. And have a bliggity blessed black ally ass, because I appreciate y'all too. This okay. Um, have a good one, y'all.